Hello and welcome back to the Cozy Arts. I am Cherish and it's still May. It's still Multiple Chemical Sensitivity Awareness Month. So we're gonna put out another video, and this video is gonna be hopefully a little more upbeat than my last video, because today we're gonna talk about happiness and mental health. And I know what you're thinking, but it is not a sponsored video. We're talking about mental health because it's good to talk about it, not because anybody is paying me to. If you haven't seen the last video and you feel like watching a very emotional rant, click right here. But the bit that we're jumping on from today is that, spoilers for the last video, I got summoned for jury duty. And as I can't really leave the house, and if I do leave the house, I'm wearing a respirator, and the respirator stops working after an hour if I'm lucky. There was no way that I could do jury duty. It would make me incredibly sick, and based on my reactions to previous adventures, it would make me sicker than I am right now for the rest of my life. So in part of the process of trying to be excused from jury duty is I made a virtual doctor's appointment. And while I have very mixed feelings about actually doing this video now, that first doctor just failed me so hard. I do think it did spur something that's worth talking about. During our conversation, which, I put on my customer service face. I was, as bubbly as, people who are theater majors and work in customer service and raised female are trained and required to be. He, at some point in the conversation, said, "But you're so happy." Because I was, talking about the difficulties of my life and how things make me sick. And he was very curious about how I coped with being in essential isolation for a decade, which is fair. It's a fair question to ask somebody, because it's not easy. And honestly, my mental health isn't always great, but I think that I am overall very lucky. And I'm going to start by acknowledging my privileges in that I don't know how I would do this if I didn't have a very supportive partner. And we're very lucky in that in the last few years, it's become possible for me to not be earning money, and that he's able to support all of us right now. That of course does lead to extra freakouts where, like, oh my goodness, what will we do if something happens to him? Because I don't know how I can earn enough money to support us, which was a problem before when I was still working from home. But at least then I'm like, well, I can pick up as many hours as I can. But now, like, I don't know. But right now we're not going to focus on that because that is a future scary. We're going to concentrate on the current scaries. But yes, that is my acknowledgement that I am so lucky that I have a partner who's super supportive and can support me emotionally and financially, and also do the out of the house things that I cannot do. And even more than that, we still like to hang out. So I have a little family that I love. Like, I love my partner, I love my kid. We enjoy spending time together. So that right there is a big piece of how I am able to maintain a level of happiness, being essentially homebound for 10 years. And when I say essentially, I feel like people who maybe are more homebound than me might be a little But are you even homebound though? Because I tend to mask up and take my kid to the bus stop, and I do occasionally mask up and go on car journeys. Like I have left the house. I just can't do all the things that I would like to do. And I have to limit the amount of leaving the house that I do. So that's one of the reasons why this channel used to be called Homeboundless, but one of the reasons why I changed my name to The Cozy Arts is because I felt like most of the content outside of the month of May didn't really reflect that, but also I was worried that someone might see me going for a walk and maybe they would recognize me and they would think that I was a liar. So we're the Cozy Arts now. But let's really get into the things that have contributed to my more positive mental health. And once again, I'm not saying I have great mental health. I absolutely should talk to a therapist because it's hard. 10 years in isolation really does take a toll on top of all of the other things that I've dealt with in my life. The sheer impact of losing almost everything that I loved from my old life and having to find a way to thrive in isolation, it's a lot. One of the big things that I do for my mental health is hobbies. Now, before I was sick, a lot of my hobbies involved going to thrift stores and going to the gym. Like, my hobbies involved going out, painting, which is difficult for me now. Like, I had a lot of hobbies before that I cannot do now, but really focusing on the things that I can do and finding new things. Like, I do a lot of crafting and making and creating. For me, creating helps me feel alive and valid and just productive. So I do a lot of sewing, I do a lot of crocheting. What else do I do? I used to read a lot. Reading is hard, books are stinky. But I do a lot of binge watching, that's for sure. But really giving time to hobbies and allowing yourself to indulge in anything that your body will let you do that you love. And that does mean that sometimes I do mask up and I do paint because I need to connect with that part of myself. Even though it's physically difficult for me to do that now. Like, I need to connect with it once in a while. If you have a need in yourself to make something, create something, write, sing, dance, whatever it is, you just have to find a way, even if it's something that's not the same, but close enough, something that you can do that will still connect you with that spark that you had from before. Another thing that I do that's not fun is I do chores. Now that I don't work anymore, I was teaching online for a while, but currently I'm not working and my days are very unstructured naturally, and that can just feel very monotonous. It can feel very unfulfilling and pointless. So one thing that I do to help me have some sort of structure is that I have a list of chores. My partner does help with chores. My kid, kids are kids. I'm not by any means the only person doing chores in my house, but I do have a routine that I do every day. And I have a little checklist. It's on the fridge. And I get the chalk and I check off the things each day. So each day I do a load of dishes, I do a load of laundry, and I have a daily task for that day of the week. And I exercise, that's on my chore list. and then I have a couple of bonus chores that I can choose from. So I am working through that list, and it really helps me stay focused on the small things that I can do each day, the little bit of control that I have over the house. It makes me feel productive and valuable at the end of the day, and it helps me to organize my time. So I'm not just binge watching stuff all day, because honestly, I feel like I've watched most of it. What do you do when you get to the end of the infinite scroll? What remains? Now, we've briefly touched on this in the last one, but exercise. Exercise is so necessary for my mental health. I exercise about 6 days a week. 5 days a week, that means usually weightlifting. I love lifting weights. I just love feeling strong and but exercise is one of the ways that I can not only just help my mental health in general, just from the boost that exercise gives you, but it also, I think, is especially important for me because it gives me just that little bit of control over my body and my health. Going to the doctor is very difficult. It makes me very sick. It's not something that I do as often as I should. In fact, in the last 10 years, I've really only gone in to see the doctor when I've had like really lingering infections or when I broke my foot. So there's a lot of healthcare that I'm not on top of. But what I can be on top of is exercising and moving my body. I've had a few good years where I've been fairly consistent, but before that, like, I definitely had times when it was such a struggle just to get up the energy to exercise. And even just getting through the day, it took everything that I had. But if you are wanting to get into an exercise routine, it's okay to start small. It's okay to do whatever your body will let you do and whatever brings you joy and happiness. I mostly started with like dance workout routines because it really made me feel excited and happy to do that. So I've done a lot of dance workouts. I did a lot of Ring Fit adventures to get myself ready to go into the more intense workouts that I'm doing now. Exercise, very important to your mental health in whatever capacity that your body will let you do it. You should make sure that you exercise regularly. And part of my exercise routine is nature walks. Now, what I really need to do for my health is I need to live in the middle of nowhere where I can't smell my neighbors, and I have more freedom because I can go outside and spend time outside, and I don't have to worry about the neighbors doing their laundry or smoking cigarettes or smoking other things or having bonfires or grilling, and I just can enjoy the outdoors and enjoy the nature, and that would be wonderful for my mental health. Unfortunately, we can't afford a place that gives me enough space to do that while also still being close enough to other people that we are giving our child a good opportunity to grow up with friends and someday part-time jobs and all the opportunities that they can have in the city. So for now, nature is hard. It's hard for me to get into nature, but we've really been making an effort to once a week, I mask up, we get in the car, and we go to nature and we go for a walk. I need it. I really need the time outside, surrounded by trees and hopefully fresh air to just reconnect. So let's get out into nature. And then the last thing, kind of what I'm doing right now, is online friendship and video making, community building. Yeah, it's hard when you lose your community. When you lose your sense of community, you don't have a lot of people who are willing to do what it takes to spend time with you in person. It's important to try and keep the important friendships going online. Try to find new communities, make new friendships online. And one of the things that I do to help me feel happy and present in the world is I make these videos. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't get a lot of viewers with them. I don't get a lot of views. So some might feel like they're screaming into a void, but I'm just happy to have a way to still be visible. Because having multiple chemical sensitivity means that I'm not out in public. I'm not existing to people around. If MCS can make me feel like I don't exist and like I don't matter. But even if nobody watches my videos, they're out there and they're proof that I exist, that I still have a voice. And so that's one thing that I do to help myself maintain a sense of positivity despite living in isolation for 10 years. Do whatever you can to find ways to not be fully isolated. Whatever community can look like for you, community is important and good because you are important and you are valid, and the world is better with you here. I just want to let you know, if you feel invisible, if you feel hopeless, if you feel unimportant, you matter. You are important. And hope might not look the way that you want it to look, but there is hope. It is possible to build a life that you can find meaning in, even if it doesn't look the way that you want it to look, the way that you thought it would look, the way that you planned for it to look. It is possible to have a meaningful life, even in isolation. And there is hope that we will find more answers, and maybe the world will change enough that people will make it easier for us to go into the world. Maybe through researching long COVID, we'll find answers to MCS. Maybe we will find answers and we will get help. But in the meantime, find ways to find happiness because you're worth it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.